June 28, 1941. In a series of swift coordinated raids across the United States, FBI agents close in on 33 individuals. It is the culmination of a 2-year counterintelligence operation, the largest in the nation's history. The targets are not common criminals. They are spies, members of a sophisticated Nazi network embedded deep within American society, stealing military and industrial secrets for Adolf Hitler. At the center of this web of espionage is a man of extraordinary charisma and cunning, a figure of myth and legend known to his handlers simply as the Duke. But this master spy was not German. He was a naturalized American citizen, a celebrated journalist, an adventurer who had once been a trusted friend of a U.S. president. His real name was Fritz Joubert Duquesne, and his war was not for the Führer or the fatherland. It was a deeply personal, lifelong vendetta against an entire empire. This is the unbelievable true story of the spy who hated a nation. The origins of this epic tale of espionage do not begin in the chanceries of Berlin, but on a sun-scorched farm on the coast of South Africa. Born in 1877, Fritz Joubert Duquesne was a child of the wild veldt. From a young age, he learned the skills of the hunter, to track, to wait, and to kill. At just 12 years old, he took his first human life, running a Zulu attacker through with a spear to defend his mother. It was a brutal act that foreshadowed the man he would become, a man for whom violence came easily. After an education in England, where he developed the polished upper-class accent that would later become one of his greatest tools, Duquesne returned home to a nation on fire. The Second Boer War had erupted in 1899, pitting his people, the Boers, against the might of the British Empire. Duquesne's skills made him a natural guerrilla commander. Leading a small commando unit, he waged a vicious campaign against British forces, destroying supply lines and spilling blood for his country's sovereignty. But the war would soon inflict a wound so deep it would never heal. Returning to his family homestead, he found a scene of unimaginable horror. British soldiers, under the command of Lord Kitchener, had implemented a brutal, scorched earth policy. Duquesne's sister had been raped and murdered. His mother had been taken to one of the infamous British concentration camps. Disguising himself as a British officer, the distraught Duquesne infiltrated the nearest camp. There, he found his mother, beaten, starving, and sick. As he left, he shot 2 British officers dead. In that moment, his hatred for Britain hardened into a razor-sharp point. He swore a personal oath of vengeance against one man, Lord Kitchener, and the empire he represented. This oath would define the rest of his life. His quest for revenge began almost immediately. Still in disguise, he went to Cape Town with plans to sabotage British installations and assassinate Kitchener himself. He recruited 20 men but was betrayed. On October 11, 1901, he was arrested in full-dress uniform. While his co-conspirators were executed by firing squad, Duquesne's flawless British persona saved him. Believing him to be one of their own, the authorities commuted his death sentence to life in prison. He was shipped to a penal colony in Bermuda. For the British, it was the end of the matter. For Duquesne, it was merely an intermission. In 1902, Duquesne did what he would do best for the next 40 years. He escaped. He slipped his bonds, swam to the main island of Bermuda, and took on a new identity, posing as an American steward on a yacht. He had discovered his true talent, the art of becoming someone else. He made his way to New York City and began a new life. He became a journalist, writing thrilling tales of adventure for the New York Herald. He was a natural storyteller, weaving fact and fiction so seamlessly that no one could tell them apart. His charm and expertise were so convincing that he became the personal shooting instructor for former President Theodore Roosevelt, even accompanying him on hunting expeditions. In 1913, Fritz Duquesne became a naturalized American citizen, the perfect cover for the war he was about to wage. When World War I erupted in 1914, Duquesne's old hatred for Britain resurfaced with a vengeance. Lord Kitchener was now the face of the British war effort, his face staring out from recruitment posters across the empire. Duquesne saw his chance. He walked into the German consulate and offered his services. German intelligence sent him to Brazil, where he assumed the guise of a naturalist named Frederick Fredericks. His mission, to disrupt British shipping. He did so with diabolical ingenuity. He planted bombs disguised as botanical samples in crates of orchids and minerals onto British cargo ships. He would later claim that his exploding orchids sank 22 ships, a figure that, while likely exaggerated, points to the considerable chaos he caused for the British in South America. But his greatest claim, the act that would define his legend, was yet to come. On June 5, 1916, the HMS Hampshire, an armored cruiser carrying Lord Kitchener to Russia, sank mysteriously in the North Sea. Kitchener and over 600 souls were lost. Duquesne claimed responsibility. He spun a tale of disguising himself as a Russian duke, joining Kitchener's entourage, signaling a German U-boat from the deck of the Hampshire, and making his escape in the ensuing chaos. Whether this audacious story is true remains a matter of historical debate. What is certain is that Germany awarded him the Iron Cross for his wartime services. In his own mind, at least, Fritz Duquesne had fulfilled his oath. He had killed the man who destroyed his family. The end of the war did not end Duquesne's career in deception. The years that followed saw him perfect the art of the alias, becoming a true man of many faces. In 1919, while facing murder charges and awaiting extradition to Britain, he feigned paralysis for 2 years so convincingly that he was transferred to the prison ward of Bellevue Hospital. Days before he was to be shipped to London, he broke out, disguised himself as a woman, sawed through the bars of his cell, and escaped over the hospital wall. He toured the United States as Captain Claude Stoughton of the Australian Light Horse Regiment, captivating audiences with fabricated tales of wartime heroism. Later, he resurfaced in Hollywood as Major Frank de Trafford Craven, taking a publicity job in a film studio owned by none other than Joseph P. Kennedy, the father of a future American president. He moved through high society, a charming and respected figure, while always staying one step ahead of the authorities who were slowly piecing together his trail of deception. Each time they got close, Duquesne would simply vanish, only to re-emerge as someone new, somewhere else. By 1937, the world was once again on the brink of war. And once again, Germany came calling. Nazi intelligence, preparing for the coming conflict with Britain, knew exactly who to turn to. They found Duquesne in New York and gave him his most ambitious assignment yet, to build and run a massive spy network on American soil. The Duke was back in the game. Using his charm and his network of contacts, he began to recruit. His agents were not hardened spies, but ordinary people, a shipping clerk, a restaurateur, a secretary. They were scattered across the country, feeding him a steady stream of information on Allied shipping, military technology, and aircraft designs. For 2 years, the Duquesne Spy Ring operated with impunity, a gaping hole in America's national security as the nation remained officially neutral. But they were not unnoticed. At the Federal Bureau of Investigation, Director J. Edgar Hoover was becoming increasingly alarmed by the scale of German espionage. The FBI launched a massive counterintelligence operation. Their key weapon was a man named William Siebold, a German-American who had been blackmailed by the Abwehr into becoming a spy. Terrified, Siebold had instead walked into an FBI office and confessed everything. The FBI turned him into a double agent. They set him up with a front office on Times Square, equipped with a secret two-way mirror and concealed microphones. For 16 months, Siebold met with Duquesne and his agents as FBI cameras silently rolled, capturing every incriminating transaction. Duquesne, the master of disguise and deception, had finally been outsmarted. The net closed on June 28, 1941. The FBI raid swept up Duquesne and 32 of his agents. The evidence against them, much of it filmed by the FBI's hidden cameras, was overwhelming. The trial was a sensation. In January 1942, just weeks after the attack on Pearl Harbor brought America into the war, the entire ring was convicted in the largest espionage case in the history of the United States. Fritz Duquesne, the Duke, was sentenced to 18 years in federal prison. His long war against the British Empire was finally over. He would serve 14 years before being released in 1954 due to ill health. The once dashing spy spent his final years in poverty, telling his fantastical stories to anyone who would listen at universities and social clubs. He died forgotten at a city hospital on Welfare Island in 1956 at the age of 78. The life of Fritz Duquesne reads like a pulp adventure novel, a story of tragedy, revenge, daring escapes, and international intrigue. He was a complex and contradictory figure, a patriot to his own people, a ruthless killer, and a con man of breathtaking audacity. But his ultimate legacy is one of failure. His final, greatest act of espionage was completely dismantled by the very country he had made his home. The takedown of the Duquesne Spy Ring was a monumental victory for the FBI, blinding Hitler's intelligence operations in the United States at the most critical moment in modern history. In the end, the story of the Duke serves as a powerful reminder that the grand sweep of history can often be shaped by the most personal of motives. A single act of brutality on a remote farm in South Africa set in motion a chain of events that would ripple across 2 world wars, culminating in a secret battle of wits in the heart of New York City, and ending the career of one of the most remarkable spies the world has ever known.